They were favored at Jacksonville. They were favored at Denver. And Denver's a hard place to play.
Right.
I am a member of the Church of the Buffalo Bills and believe in Josh Allen. And I just think they'll find a way. The other thing, I'm picking Buffalo, and I'm picking Buffalo because of the way the other young quarterbacks have performed. I mean, C.J. Stroud did not light it up. He had his fumbles. He had his interceptions. He had his bad plays, the miscommunications on snaps. Young guys, you've got to be there a few times around to really get comfortable in playoff football.
Best weekend of the NFL playoffs is here. It's the divisional playoffs. We have a doubleheader Saturday, 2 more on Sunday. The best 8 teams are left, and we will have a new Super Bowl champion in 2026. Yes. Welcome to Flutie versus Stegall, your head-to-head weekly NFL picks and analysis show. I'm your host, Arash Madani. There is Milt Stegall. Here is Doug Flutie. Milton, how is your tailbone feeling today?
I've recovered. I'll tell you guys this. Only my wife knows this, but I had on that jersey for a reason. I had on red pads under my jersey.
I thought you had something.
Just in case. Yeah, no, I was prepared. Had on my hard hat, had on my red pads. So I'm doing okay. I'm fine.
That is great news.
I just love it. Well, way to be a team player, way to be all in. I know you aren't one of the Bills Mafia believers. At some point, we just got a quick question in the X's and O's and just say, praise the Bills. Go ahead, Josh, do your thing.
There it is.
Yeah, you broke a table before me. That says like, I've been tempted for years. For the last few years, I've been asked by Bills Mafia. So I may have to cave in.
You got to make it happen, Doug. The pressure's on, Doug. The pressure's on.
Well, look, if you're wondering what we're talking about, you have to check this out here.
I'm so sure that Jacksonville is going to win that if they don't, I'm jumping through a table. And I know our liability insurance won't cover it, but I think I can handle it. I'll honestly jump through a table if the Bills win.
The Bills are marching on to the next round.
All right, here we go. I'm a person of my word. I said if the Buffalo Bills won, I would jump through the table. Already.
Doug, you haven't done it, but you've seen many dudes fly through tables.
Yes.
How do you grade Stegall's leap there? The Russian judge gave it a 10.
I'll tell you what, it was a 10 plus because he left from the ground, elevated and went in. All these table breakers aren't athletes. They go from an elevated stance down to the table. He had to propel up, over, and in, and he had a frame around it, so he had to hit the center so he breaks through. And I was worried about Milt's back there. A little bit worried, but he came through clean. He's a pro.
Milton, you are one of a kind. You're a team player. That was awesome. Doug's fired up. Both his Bills and Patriots are playing this weekend.
Yep.
So let's get to it. If you're new to the show, if you've stumbled into this because it's the playoffs, welcome. Flutie versus Stegall this season has become one of North America's fastest growing football podcasts. Each week, the guys share their picks. We talk NFL storylines, now playoff storylines, and Milt and Doug share their own locker room stories, which is relevant this week. We'll get more to that in just a minute. Look, we got 4 games to tee up, guys, but a quick take first from both of you. 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers, older than DeMeco Ryans, amazing.
Crazy.
His last throw, pick 6, playoff loss against that Houston defense. Rodgers says, I'm not going to make an emotional decision. I'm going to take my time. Doug, let's start with you. Has he played his last NFL game?
I don't think so. So. I think he wants to. He'll pull the plug, and somebody's going to call him back in the middle of the year next year and do a Phillip Rivers.
Okay.
Because as playoff-bound teams get in trouble, they want to salvage a season, he may get a phone call. Now, one thing I will say, didn't Tom Brady throw a pick six his last play with the Patriots before heading to Tampa? I'm sitting on the couch. I turned to my wife, his last play is going to be a pick six. He's like, because it's at least going to be a pick because he's got to sling it around. And sure enough, physically, he's not moving the way he can move. You know, he could have taken off and run a few times. The old Aaron Rodgers would have made some plays with his legs. I think he should be done. But the inside of me, I just see that the need at some point next year, somebody may try to call him back.
You know what? I hope he's done. I hope he's done. And I know you mentioned, Doug, that someone may call him back, but a team that's a contender is not calling back Aaron Rodgers anymore, in my opinion. And I know the mind is strong and he probably thinks he can still get it done, but he's not able to get it done anymore. Aaron Rodgers is not going to win a playoff game. He's not going to get to your Super Bowl. It's just not going to happen. So if a team is calling him back, if they're that desperate and Aaron Rodgers comes back, it's not a team that's a contender because he can't get it done anymore. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks who ever played, and I don't think he should ever step on the field again. That's just my opinion. And, Doug, you may be right. Someone may call him back, and I think if they do, he's going to come back. He's not going to go through a training camp. He's not going through mini camps next year. But the same case as Phillip Rivers, if somebody calls him back, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back, but he should not step on the NFL field again.
And I said it early in the year, these older quarterbacks, to stay healthy for 18 weeks. I mean, look at these guys week 1, week 2. They look like their old selves.
Yep.
By the end of the season, cold weather, all these other factors start coming in. It gets tougher and tougher as the year goes on.
So we'll see what happens with Rodgers. Houston on its way to New England. We'll talk about the Texans and the Pats coming up. But first, let's get into this Buffalo-Jacksonville game. I mean, the Bills go in on the road. They win. I mean, it was Josh Allen versus the world. But the play. The Bills are down 24-20, under 3 minutes to go. And Doug, free rusher in Josh's face off his back foot, somehow, some way finds Brandon Cooks on what ended up being the game-winning touchdown drive. You got the whiteboard there with you, man. How in the world did Josh do this?
We talk as a quarterback, we talk about anticipation. And the reason you can anticipate is because you understand coverage and you understand people's responsibility within that coverage. They have to do certain things. What ended up happening, he got a blitz from the weak side, but the end on the far side drops off. So it wasn't really his own blitz. I don't call it his own blitz because it was still a 4-man rush, but that created the free rusher in Josh's face. He knew the shell was quarters coverage, quarter, 4 guys deep across. In that coverage, we ran the play early in the year called Flutie. We have a post on the outside. We have a corner route by number 2. Once this corner route, this inside receiver gets to a certain depth, somewhere between the 13 to 17-yard range, this safety has to commit to it. And that's the key. Josh has an unblocked rusher. He knows he's going to have this post route. He can't wait to see this guy jump this route. He doesn't have that kind of time. He anticipates. He expects that to happen. He's got outside leverage by that corner, and the post is going to be open. He turned that ball loose early and threw it in this window here.
Yep.
He threw it in this window and just hoped that this safety would do his responsibility and jump the corner. He did. The ball falls in this area. And the thing we worry about on this is when you run the in on the backside safety can come into the play. He almost got there. He was a little bit late, but it was the anticipation, knowing the coverage that allowed him to anticipate, fall away, and just put the ball in an area and let the defense do their responsibilities.
A couple of things that stood out to me in this route was when Josh threw the ball. When he threw the ball, Brandon Cooks wasn't even clear of those 2 defenders. He was like 2 or 3 yards in front of those 2 defenders. And for the most part, when Brandon Cooks is running this route, it's very rare he's going to get this ball because the majority of the time that corner is going to fall back or that safety is going to be over the top. So he's probably thinking, I'm just a clear out. But when he clears those guys and sees that it's wide open and Josh Allen throws him the ball, he has to focus because it's like a punt. That's not an easy catch because it's like a punt. So you have to catch it, and you also have to he also realizes that safety is coming to hit him. So he catches it with his body so he can absorb the hit. So, yes, it's a great play by Brandon Cooks, but the fact that Josh Allen can read that and know that Brandon Cooks is going to be open when he's not open is truly amazing. Josh Allen, I mean, he's special. He's still my MVP of this league.
That's the difference between the younger quarterbacks that are used to running all the RPO game, and they have to see a guy break. Yeah, they understand coverage and they do reads, but they don't trust it as much as a guy that's a veteran, like even an Aaron Rodgers would, where you know the responsibilities of every defender and anticipate those moves so the ball's thrown out in rhythm on time with anticipation.
32 years old, Brandon Cooks. He's bounced around, developed an instant chemistry with Allen. And how about Josh? Guys, becomes the first player in NFL history to complete at least 80% of his passes and rush for multiple touchdowns in a playoff game. But that was the play that effectively won it for the Bills.
And he probably jumped through a table at halftime.
Well, let's send him the link to Milto going through. Let's get into this week's picks on Stegall versus Flutie. All right, so let's start right there with the Bills, guys. Unbelievably to me, they're the road favorite in Denver. Crazy. I mean, the Broncos have the number 1 seed in the AFC. Love that both of you are on opposite sides of this again. Milt's going with Bo Nix and company. Doug is riding Buffalo. Milt, let's start with you. Why will the Broncos do it?
Well, you can lump all my picks together this week because they're all for a certain reason. I'm picking all my teams because the teams who they're playing against, they're coming off of short weeks. Buffalo is coming off a short week, and they're playing against a team who's been sitting for 2 weeks.
Right.
And I believe in Josh Allen. I mean, that man is a nightmare, but I just don't believe with what he has to work with, and the fact that they're coming off a short week, that they're going to be able to go into Denver and get it done. I was wrong last week, but I don't think it's going to happen this week. But just because of that short week and Denver is rested, I mean, it's bad on the NFL that they're doing this, and I know Denver, they deserve to be rewarded. But the fact that they're forcing Buffalo, they flew into Jacksonville, they had to fly home, they have a short week, now you have to fly to Denver. I think that's just too much to come away with the victory.
You know, I'm looking at this game and I'm like, okay, Buffalo's going to get at least 4 or 5 points, and they're going to Denver. They're a 6 seed versus a 1 seed. I got to go with Buffalo. And I start to pick Buffalo, and I realize they're a favorite again on the road, the low seed. They're a 6 seed. They were favored at Jacksonville. They were favored at Denver, and Denver's a hard place to play.
Right.
I am a member of the Church of the Buffalo Bills and believe in Josh Allen, and I just think they'll find a way. The other thing, I'm picking Buffalo, and I'm picking Buffalo because of the way the other young quarterbacks have performed. I mean, C.J. Stroud did not light it up. He had his fumbles, he had his interceptions, he had his bad plays, the miscommunications on snaps. Young guys, you know, you've got to be there a few times around to really get comfortable in playoff football. And maybe it'll take Bo Nix a half. I don't know. Bo Nix is built different. I believe I got a chance the second half of the season, especially. I've kind of jumped on his bandwagon. He's a heck of a quarterback. But I am going with the Buffalo Bills.
Pastor Doug Flutie has spoken. I may be sending you some money, Doug. You're selling me on this one, baby. Hold
Church
on.
of the Buffalo Bills, baby.
Tell you what, Broncos have gotten home field in large part because of their defense, too. Number 2 in the league in total defense.
Yeah.
Bills, number 4 in both scoring and total offense. Something's got to give up there at Mile High. New England has Houston coming to town. Guys, Monday night, that Texans defense looked out of this world. They've allowed the fewest total yards in the NFL this season. Both of you, though, are taking the Pats minus the 3 points in Foxborough. What did you see from Drake May? What did you see from that New England defense against the Chargers that has you leaning towards the Pats?
It's more so C.J. Stroud for me. That's who it is for me. They say defense wins championships, but you got to have something on offense. If Pittsburgh would have had any type of offense, they would have won that game. Or if C.J. Stroud would have played average, that game would have been over in the first half. So it's more the way C.J. Stroud is playing that I believe that they can't win this game. Once again, they're coming off a short week. Once again, they have to travel. So I don't know how they win this game. They'll keep it close because of that defense. But going into New England with the way Drake May, a possible MVP, is playing, they can't get it done.
Yeah, and Houston is likely without Nico Collins.
Without Nico Collins, their best receiver. Yep.
Yeah, concussion again on a short week. Doug?
Patriots at home. There's a lot to be said in playoffs for home field advantage. But Drake May actually looked comfortable in the second. I thought he wasn't quite himself early in the game. There's nerves involved. First playoff game, all that kind of stuff. There's nerves involved. But he became himself in the second half, made some plays, all that. C.J. Stroud struggled with the situation of being in playoff football. I thought he got a little bit more comfortable by the fourth quarter. But I believe in this Mike Vrabel defense, the way he coaches. These guys believe he's part of the team. He got a bloody lip at the end of the game. The whole bit, He's in with every player. He's stopping in the tunnel to give everyone the hug and the high five and coming through. They believe in Vrabel. They look like a family. They look like a team that is a championship caliber team.
Yeah, it was
C.J. Stroud. He got comfortable when the Pittsburgh Steelers threw in the towel. That's when he got comfortable. So
exactly.
It was Milton Williams who cut up Vrabel's lip at the end of the game. Williams is an absolute game wrecker. And Doug, you talk about Drake May, and we talk about that Houston defense bringing heat. Over wildcard weekend, highest passer rating of any quarterback under pressure was May. He had a passer rating of 121.5. The lowest passer rating under pressure was Matthew Stafford, 1.4. I'm not sure if it was the finger on the throwing hand after he hit the helmet that really affected him, but the Rams now head to Chicago. Caleb Williams got it done again with that incredible comeback. Crazy. Doug, you have been riding the Rams all season. Yeah. You're not stopping now. They head to Soldier Field.
I hate that I picked these. Go ahead, finish.
They're a 4-point road favorite at Chicago.
How is this possible? You didn't realize what a home field advantage is? I just can't believe they had to travel cross country, being a lower seed, and we're a big favorite, and then travel cross country to Chicago, at least midway. And Chicago's on fire. No pun intended. Chicago is just finding ways to win left and right. But I'm sticking with the guys that have gotten me here, the guys that I believe in, the quarterbacks that are veterans. I didn't know that stat about pressure last week with my guy, but I just believe in Stafford, and I believe that there's quarterbacks that are comfortable and embrace playoff football and are themselves. They play like it's week 6, like week 7, and when the game's on the line, that's who they are. And the other guys that haven't been there before have a tendency to make mistakes early and can cost their teams games. And I trust them.
I want to say one thing. Caleb Williams, did you see his fourth quarter stats last game? 195 Absolutely. Total yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. That's all I want to say.
He threw the switch. Yeah, I said this, I don't know, maybe 5 weeks ago. I said, can he play a 60-minute game?
Yeah.
Could you imagine if he played like that for a whole – he always – he's been able to turn – and there's storytelling. Hanging with John Havlicek years ago, the Celtics superstar, right? Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And we were talking about fourth quarter, last second shots, things like that. And there are guys that – and he said, when it got in those situations, I felt like everybody else was moving in slow motion, and I just had extra time to make my decisions and make my move and do what I had to do. And that's because you speed up mentally. You see things quickly. You process. And it just seems like you feel like you have that extra second or two to make these important decisions. And everybody else is moving in slow motion. And I understood exactly what he was talking about when he said it. So there are certain guys, and Caleb Williams is probably one of them, where that everything becomes ultra focused and he sees things immediately and can process it.
You talk about Boston legends. I remember talking to Paul Pierce once after he hit a game-winning bucket. And he said, late in the game, you either have it or you don't. And he said, you can't go buy it at CVS or Walgreens. You either have it or you don't. Maybe Caleb Williams has it.
Could you go to like a Louis Vuitton or something high end? They got it under lock and key in the back shelf.
If I can get it on sale, I'm not paying full price though. I'm not paying full price.
Yeah, you can't buy it. You either got it or you don't.
So Doug's buying the Rams as a 4-point favorite. And if he's right, it means we'll have an all NFC West matchup in the conference title game next week. San Francisco out of nowhere with that win over Philly last week. Now they go back up to Seattle where they got thumped the last week of the regular season. Biggest spread of the week.
Crazy.
Seahawks -7.5. And Milt, you're saying Seattle's going to continue to roll.
I think so. And I love Kyle Shanahan. I think he should be the coach of the year. I mean, what he's been able to do with that team. I mean, they got so many guys on IR. That's another depth chart for their team. They got so many guys on IR, but it's just not enough. They were able to come away with that victory, but now they're going to Seattle once again on a short week, playing against a team who's rested. Sam Darnold, as I mentioned, got over the hump. They're playing great defensively and offensively. So San Francisco won't be able to get it done. They just don't have enough. Purdy is great. McCaffrey is second to only Bijan Robinson, but Seattle will put them away, and I don't think it'll even be close. I think they'll even cover that spread that you mentioned, Arash, so they'll get it done.
And you said a few weeks ago that was a big moment for Sam Darnold when he faced San Francisco end of the season, the big game, and to play well in a big game. So he still is going to feel a lot of that pressure, but like you said, I think he's over the hump.
Brock Purdy loses another weapon. George Kittle out with the Achilles. But guys, this defense, the dudes have been dropping like flies, especially in the linebacker core. There's Eric Kendricks, who a couple of months ago was on the couch making the defensive play to win that game. When you're kind of borrowing, and stealing, just patching together a defensive unit like this, how's San Francisco doing it?
Well, it comes to scheme. I tell you, you go back, Patriots won a Super Bowl this way. They had guys coming in off the shot. I forget which one it was. They won some 93.
Right, that little detail.
But I remember, they were pulling guys off the street. Someone got their first start in the Super Bowl, and then that tells you the coaching. The coaching is pretty amazing. Guys are learning the responsibility. They trust the system, and they just plug and play. Obviously, you have your elite athletes, and you need your elite corner that can shut down the top receiver. You need your elite quarterback. You need, certain positions are very, very important. But it's pretty amazing that the job these coaches are doing.
Maybe, just maybe, Robert Saleh wasn't a problem with the New York Jets. Just going out on a limb on that one. All right, so let's wrap up the picks for divisional playoff weekend. Stegall likes both number one seeds, for Seattle to cover all the points. For Denver to knock off the Bills, is also riding Drake May and the Patriots by a field goal over Houston. Flutie's on the opposite side of the Saturday game, going with Buffalo over Denver, also with New England -3. And for the Rams to go into Chicago and cover the 4 points as a road favorite.
See, as Milt makes his points and you say these things, I'm shaking my head. What were you thinking about?
Well, you made a great point about those second-year guys.
I felt that way last week, Milt.
Yeah.
I felt that way last week. I went with my heart. I don't have a justification for this, but it just feels like it.
It worked out for you.
This could be the big turnaround week for Milt.
So, Doug, it's funny you say, what were you thinking? Because I'm watching these games last weekend, and I'm asking out loud to these coaches the exact same question. 5 games wildcard weekend, 26 fourth down conversion attempts. It it just seems like it's become too much. It burned the Jags. It hurt the Chargers early on 4th and 2.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean to be the old man, waving my fist up there at the clouds, but like, is attempting a field goal in playoff games where points are a premium, is that a radical idea?
No, I think it's coming back. I think that it was a radical idea through this. And I always felt that way as a quarterback because we had a lot of confidence in your offense. Shoot, it's 4th and 2 here, 4th and 3. We can do this, right? That's how we're built. We're going to do this. And this year, more than any other year, everyone's going for it on 4th down. And I felt after those games, the second day, the Sunday rather than the Saturday, I think it was, I'm not sure, but they stopped doing it.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, people started taking the field goal. And I think that's going to come back. All of a sudden, you realize this is playoff football. It's not so easy to just randomly sling the ball around and kick your. So I think the kicking the field goal is coming back. It kind of made a transition by the end of this weekend.
Coaches grew up playing Madden. That's pretty funny. That's what.
That's exactly.
Analytics. That's what they're doing. They're saying it's based on analytics. It's best to go on it on 4th down right here, and then it's a copycat league. They see other teams doing it. Oh, we need to try it. Oh, we need to keep our best player, our quarterback on the field. We have an athletic quarterback. We can do this, but analytics is not always the gut. Everyone doesn't have a Josh Allen. Everyone doesn't have that big quarterback who can do it, or the athletic running back who can make guys miss. Sometimes you have to just take the points, because if you looked at some of the games, if those teams would have took the points, they'd still be in the playoffs. So you just have to go with your gut. I don't believe in the numbers thing. Go with your gut. Go with your talent you have on the field and the talent you have on the sideline. That's my opinion.
So talk about analytics, right? There's no area of the field more scrutinized than red zone. You're in tight. Everything is tight windows in the passing game. You spend so much time in practice. It's got to be perfect, right? Buffalo Bills on the 11-yard line, 2 quarterback sneaks, they're in the end zone. Would they have mapped that out? No. You do whatever you feel is necessary in the moment. Right. They were averaging like 3 yards per quarterback sneak with the push. They got on the 11-yard line. They needed a first down. They end up with 10, 11 yards, get inside the 1, and next play they're in the end zone. I guarantee on their script, they did not say 1st and goal from the 11, we're running a quarterback sneak for the touch. It just, you feel things out. You've got to play the moment. You've got to understand what's working for you and what isn't.
Well, what had worked for Philadelphia for a long time was the tush push. They kind of got away from it. And then they got away from throwing the football altogether. We have a new Super Bowl champion coming up. The Eagles are not going to repeat. By the way, the last NFC team to repeat as a Super Bowl champion, the Cowboys in 93.
Cowboys.
That's how long it's been.
Yes.
But we talked early in the season, guys. We talked midway through the season. It just felt like it was off in Philadelphia. And A.J. Brown's been really vocal over the last couple of years about this. And then it just felt like it came to a head after his drop. He and Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni went after him almost on the sideline.
Yeah.
We saw what we saw. You guys have been there. What did you see? What was your takeaway from that back and forth with coach and receiver on the playoff sideline under the lights? Doug?
For me, it was frustration that Brown was very frustrated in himself for dropping those balls, and he had to make an excuse and he had to make an argument for his case. And so he blew. I hate that. I hate that confrontation on the sideline. I had a lot of one-on-one conversations with guys. Guys weren't getting the ball, and we were talking about. It's like, okay, how can I get you the ball? Get me. I just want to be involved. Give me a ball. And I would do that. If you have that, if a guy's like, throw me the ball. I need to. Then it's. I'm like, I'm not listening.
Right.
I'll put you CFL 65 yards wide, whatever. I'm putting you wide side. Go run a hitch and sit out there. All right. I'm not throwing you the ball. You're gonna act that way. But I think that stems from frustration. It should not happen. It's a volatile game, an emotional game. Guys get into it, but then you get back in the office on Monday and that's behind you and you're off to next week usually. Usually you can put those spats behind because you get into it with players on guys. It happens. But I hated that. I thought I'm just trying to just distribute the ball, move the ball. We're all working on the same team here. you had a couple of chances to make plays, and you're supposed to be our superstar, and you didn't. So don't come yelling at me as a coach.
I wish we could have got more exactly what was said. But in my opinion, it's just a couple of alphas going at it, pride and frustration, as Doug mentioned. Sometimes they get the best of you, and your emotions are exposed. But as Doug said, let's leave that behind closed doors. We're not playing well, and now you see this, and if I'm on the other team, I see that. I'm like, oh, we got these guys. The coaches are fighting with the players. They're not playing well. AJ is dropping balls. They're not doing the things they usually done, and we got them right where we want them. So when you see that, that's not good. That's not good for the fans to see, for owners, for opposing team, and your own teammates and other coaches to see that. That just doesn't bode well for you having success, and you can see what the final product was. So it's not a good look. They need to get it fixed. I think both of those guys will definitely be there next year, and I don't see them making many changes because they did win 11 games again this year, and they did make the playoffs. So they're going to have to deal with the same problems again next year, in my opinion.
Yeah, inevitably there was chatter after the game and into the week. Is A.J. Brown on the trading block? There's talk, does he get dealt to New England? He and Mike Vrabel had a great relationship with the Titans when Tennessee drafted him. The reality is pre-June 1st, if they trade him, the Eagles are on the hook for a dead cap of $43.5 million. If they trade him after January 1st, it's $43 million dead cap hit spread over 2 years. That's a lot to eat at the receiver position. Guys, real quick, what's the game you're looking forward to most this week? We got 4 good ones. Doug, I'm assuming Buffalo. I'm assuming Buffalo for you.
Yes, Buffalo, Denver, in Denver. I don't know how Josh is going to do it. I can't wait to see and find out how he does it. Playing in Denver is a real deal. The elevation, guys get tired. Offensive, defensive linemen get tired. The guys that play there year round, it's just another game to them conditioning wise. So that's even a factor. You watch, if Josh takes off on a long run, see how hard he's breathing when he gets back to the huddle.
Yeah.
But I think Buffalo finds a way.
I'm trying to see if the Iceman can keep getting it done. If Caleb Williams can keep getting it done, it's going to be more difficult. They're going to maybe have to score more points. The one thing that's helping them out, Doug, is that cold weather. They're coming from LA, and now you're going to the Windy City. It's going to be ugly cold. That plays well for the Chicago Bears. So will the Iceman come out again? That's what I'm looking forward to.
All right, so to wrap up our picks, Milt likes Seattle and Denver, the 2 number 1 seeds this week to win. Seattle favored by 7.5. Denver's a home dog. Milt also likes the Patriots by a field goal over the Texans. Flutie riding his Bills over the Broncos. He's also on New England -3 and likes the Rams to go into Chicago.
I may be dumb, but I'm not real smart either.
It's the best weekend of the NFL playoffs, the divisional round, doubleheader Saturday, 2 more on Sunday. We thank all of you for joining us on Flutie versus Stegall. We'll be back next week to tee up the AFC and NFC championship game.